started soaking last night. The first thing that I do is I'll be using cocoa peat moss, and sand. The cocoa peat needs water so that it can be moist enough so that I can use it. And same for the peat moss. And while that is soaking up, I get the container where I'm gonna be putting the sowing the seeds. It takes a few minutes for it to blend in, but it's okay. We can use it as we're able to, and then we can add more water to it. I like to have the same amount of cocoa peat as I have of peat moss and sand. So I will take 1 and 2 containers of peat moss, 2 containers of sand, and I may need to break it up because this is going to take a while. Okay, it's breaking up. That's awesome. I'd rather use it if it's moist already. Because once it's wet, it takes a whole lot more space. So I don't want to put it in dry and then it takes a lot more space than I expected. You need more water. The peat moss and the cocoa peat and the cocoa peat will help the seeds remain moist, and the sand will help it be drained properly. That way it doesn't clump up and it stays extra wet. Okay, 2 and 2. And now I'm gonna mix it up. I forgot to mention it, but the container is already, it has holes so that it will be able to drain. Make sure you have enough holes on your pot, because otherwise your seedlings may rot. Okay, and you don't want that. You want them to remain moist, but you don't want them to be so wet that they will rot. Okay? Once you have it mixed, fully mixed, I pat it a little bit. And I'm gonna add a thin layer of sand. And this I do not because it's gonna make a whole lot of difference, but so that I can see the seeds when they come up. And I can see, have a better idea of where they are. So that if they don't sprout or if they need help, I can tell the difference. Because the peat moss and the cocoa peat kind of disguise them. So then I don't see them. So I'd rather have a little bit of sand on top so that I can see the seedlings. And if they're struggling for whatever reason, whether because sometimes they're coming up upside down or they're a little too deep or whatever reason, I can see if they're sprouting. There's Fluffy. Okay. Once I have my sand ready, I'm gonna use tweezers. I'm gonna use tweezers and I'm gonna make indentations so that I can put the seeds. They don't really have to be exactly where I put them, but I want to have an idea of the space that I'm leaving between one and the other. I'm using the back of the tweezers to make these indentations. Okay. Once I do that, I am going to place them one by one, laying down in the holes that I just made. The reason why I put them one by one is because sometimes they come up upside down. And if they're struggling to come out, they may, if they have something else on top of them, something big, another um, plant on top of them, or a hard piece of something on top of them, they may not be able to make it. So I try to put them right on the top, and I try to keep a space in between one and the other. I may have more than the holes I made, but I'm not gonna have you go through the whole. So I have over 100 seeds here. So I think you have a pretty good idea of what I'm doing at this point. Okay, I'll put a couple more, and then I'll show you how I finish up over here. Okay, once I have them like this, I will take a little bit of sand and pour it over just enough to cover the seedlings. Don't bury them too deep because otherwise they will not make it. They'll die under there. These seeds are very small, and if you put too much stuff on top of them, whatever it is, if it's too heavy, they may not have the strength to come out. At this point, in case you didn't notice, I am using clay sand, which is a very thin sand. I don't want anything too heavy on top of my seedlings. I just want them to be able to sprout. And I forgot the water. I'll be right. Okay, I have a spray bottle, and I am going to put some of that blue anti-fungus water that we prepared last night. I'll put it in this bottle, and that's what I'm going to use to water my seedlings. For the next few days, they will stay in the shade until most of them have sprouting. It's gonna take between 1 and 2 weeks. Some of them take a little longer to sprout, so don't get discouraged if you see that not all of them are sprouting at the same time. That's normal. You'll see maybe a couple or a few at a time sprouting, and for the next 2 to 3 weeks you will see more and more of them sprouting. Make sure your container, your seeds are always moist. If they dry up, they may dehydrate and die. So make sure your container is completely moist at all times. If you don't want to be wetting or you don't have the time to be wetting your seedlings constantly every day, in that case, what I usually do is I take another container or a lid. These shoe boxes, I get them from the dollar store, and they come with a lid. Here, right back. And all you have to do is put the lid on it, and occasionally every 2 or 3 days you can open it to see how it's doing and to let some of the air come in so that you don't create fungus in it, because too much humidity may create fungus. Do not expose them to the heat of the sun. Keep them in the shade, either indoors or under a tree or under something that is shady enough. And don't let too much water pour on them, because then they may die. If they soak up too much water, if the water is too hard, it may kill them. So you want to be gentle. As any seedling, you want to be gentle with them. So I'm gonna put them now in a shady spot, which is where I usually keep my seedlings. I'll take you to I go, and I'll show you some of the seedlings that just sprouted. These are from this week, and these are from that week. And I'm gonna put this one here. These ones will remain covered for about a week, in about 2 or 3 days, for a minute or two, just so that it can breathe. And that's about it. These ones are still in the shade. I will not take them out of the shade. I keep the soil moist at all times, and they have enough sunlight to indirect sunlight, but not direct sunlight. Okay, and after that, they start growing, like you see. I have all sizes. I've been growing them for a while, and I have all sizes of desert roses. Okay, well, that's it. Thank you, and until next time, bye.